Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Parliamentary Budget Officer recently reported that the federal government provides $12 billion of the over $35 billion in total funding for post-secondary institutions across Canada. The PBO is concerned that, quote, there is no process to track the CST once it enters provincial accounts. To the Minister of Advanced Ed, what exactly are you doing with the Canada Social Transfer Funds to support post-secondary students?
Minister of Education.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you very much for the question. And certainly, we had an important announcement to help support advanced education here in the last 24 hours, which was to freeze the budget or freeze tuition rates and to have that indexed to inflation. I think that's a big step forward that's going to help Alberta students right across in each of our 26 post-secondary institutions. In regards to working with the federal government, certainly we work closely with them to ensure that we get the very top quality education for our post-secondary students, and we'd be happy to pursue that now and in the future.
First, supplemental.
Thank you for the segue. The PBO projected federal funding for student financing needs to increase by 31% and funding for student employment needs to increase by 58% if we hope to develop the talent that we need to grow our economy over the next 5 years. This government says capping tuition at CPI is intended to cover wage increases. However, universities' other costs can increase by far more than local inflation. Again, to the Minister of Advanced Ed, you've limited schools' self-generating funding options. So, how exactly do you expect Albertans to pay for post-secondary education?
The Honourable Minister of Education.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I can say that our government will make no apologies for making post-secondary education more affordable for students. There's no, Mr. Speaker, better way to ensure that a student, regardless of their economic circumstance or where they live in this province, gets access if it is an affordable possibility. So many students choose not to go to post-secondary because they just simply don't have the money or their family doesn't have the money. We are opening the doors to make sure we have an equitable and just post-secondary education system in this province.
Second supplemental.
Reducing financial barriers to education is intended to increase the number of students attending, but those students need seats at schools. Full-time enrollment at the U of C increased by 3.2% last year, double Alberta's population growth, and students in their 40s were the fastest-growing group of students. How are you going to increase access to post-secondary education for under- and unemployed Albertans, like the 8.2% of Calgarians who are out of work right now?
Great.
The Honourable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And once again, the best way to provide access for students, regardless of their age, is to make sure that it's an affordable proposition. I'm so proud of the progress that we've made in this regard. And you know what, Mr. Speaker? We have funded for education through this recession, during an economic downturn for elementary students. They're going to move to junior high. They'll move to high school. We are making sure that we get that business done. You can't do that with making $700 million cuts, cutting teachers, and otherwise compromising the quality of education that all Albertans deserve.
Honourable members, if I could just draw your attention and remind you yet again, we're now moving to question 5 on the list. Be conscious of the fact that this House appreciates members not using preambles in their supplementals, and secondly, ensure that the comments that are supplementers are related to the main question. The Honourable Member for Stony